So this is the book with the most impact on me of all the books I've read during the last few years. I read this one at the beginning of this year and wow, it really is a game changer and made me reconsider my relationship with time. In his book 4,000 Weeks, Time Management for Mortals, the author Oliver Burkeman gives us a new and fresh perspective on our relationship with time and how to make the most of our limited time here on Earth. 4,000 Weeks takes its name from the average number of weeks in a human lifetime, which represents 80 years. Oliver Burkeman challenges the notion of the traditional time management, urging us to reconsider our relationship with time and how to live more meaningful lives. And I know what you might think right now, just another book about productivity, but this one isn't. This book is really different. It's such a powerful book and has so many good points. So let's dive into some of my favorite core ideas that stood out to me.
You can't master time.
In today's fast-paced society, we want to be as productive as possible and divide our days into specific time blocks that we want to fill with certain tasks. And according to how well we did, we reward or punish ourselves because we want to make the most of our lives and use our time well. We kind of think we own time like the possession of materialistic things. For example, if we aim to do something within 3 hours, we expect to have the exact same amount of time to get that thing done. But actually that's not realistic, it's an illusion because we can't control the future and we won't have control over these 3 hours. Because sometimes life just hits you into the face.
Anna Maria.
And there might be unexpected distractions. For example, you might be stuck in traffic or something else is going to happen. This approach to time, thinking about it as a mechanical clock, started during industrialization, in which factory workers' input and payment was measured by hour. But back then this was actually pretty new because during the age of agriculture, farmers didn't work on clock. They had to get up before dawn to take care of their fields and animals and try to be done a little bit before sunset. And they didn't divide their tasks into specific time blocks. But nowadays, stereotype productivity books tell us that we can do everything we want to do as long as we are sufficiently optimized and efficient with our time. But the author Oliver Burkeman reminds us of one very important problem. There will always be too much to do. You don't have time for all the things that matter to you or you are interested in. But most of us find this hard to accept, and that's why we tell ourselves that we can cram everything in, probably at one point in the future, the moment we figured out how to get everything done. We believe that one day we will have control over our time, but according to the author Oliver Burkeman, this day won't ever arrive. In his book, he's talking about the so-called efficiency trap. He defines it as the following. When you get more efficient at processing things, working and answering emails, you actually end up generating more things to do. And the more we try to do everything, the unhappy and overwhelmed we feel because we end our days not achieving what we try to achieve. This then usually creates anxiety and unsatisfaction. But now let's have a closer look on how we go into denial about the things that actually can get done, given the limited amount of time we have. According to the author, there are two coping mechanisms that keep us from living in the present moment. The first one is called clearing the decks, and the second one, committing to distractions. Clearing the decks is when we put off big tasks that are important to us. For example, starting a business, getting in shape, or learning a new language. And instead we try to clear the decks of all these smaller but urgent tasks that we think we need to get out of the way first before we can focus on what really matters to us. But the problem is that those small tasks of minor importance won't ever go away. So what we're actually doing is procrastinating to deny the fact that we can't get everything done, and out of fear working on our big goals because we can't control the outcome. When we are worried about not getting everything done, our second coping mechanism is committing to distractions. And the distraction itself is not a problem here. It's ourselves denying that we have limited control over the outcome of the things that matter to us. Working on our big goals is so scary for us that we avoided engaging in distractions. This is how Oliver Burkeman puts it in 4,000 Weeks. Distractions aren't the ultimate cause of our distraction. Although well engineered, they're ultimately the place we go to seek relief from the discomfort of facing our limitations. And while doing that, we are basically denying our own mortality. Embrace your mortality and accept your limitations. Look, you can't visit all the countries in this world. Well, maybe some of us can, but most of us can't. You can't study all the subjects you are interested in or date all the men or women in this world. There will always be a limited amount of things you can do. A very powerful example he gives in this book is when we are searching for a partner and we never decide ourselves for one because we're always thinking that there's someone better out there. And this is actually the story of my life. Most of my time I've been single because I always thought there's someone better out there or someone a little bit more perfect, which obviously doesn't exist. And if you never stop doing this, you'll be stuck in an endless cycle. 10 years or more pass by and you haven't decided yourself for a partner yet. This is basically denying the fact that one day you are going to die. Well, that doesn't mean that you should settle for less, but accept that there's no perfect out there and that you still have the possibility to make the best out of what you have. What we should actually do, according to Oliver Burkeman, is taking tough decisions and prioritize things over others. Only then can we live a calmer life and reduce anxiety. But for us, it is easier to be stuck in a hypothetical fantasy world, believing that all our dreams come true some point in the future than accepting otherwise. But that is living in denial and actually a recipe for unhappiness. And that's exactly why the author Burkeman encourages us to accept our own mortality as a way to gain a deeper appreciation for the time we have. He's saying that by acknowledging the limited nature of our existence, we are motivated to make better choices and prioritize things that truly matter. This is actually what gives the time spent the meaning. Stop treating leisure time as a means to an end. Very often use our leisure time for a future purpose or an economic payoff. Oliver Burkeman calls this an instrumental approach to time. When your relationship with time is almost entirely instrumental, the present moment starts to lose its meaning. And he adds, our obsession with extracting the greatest future value out of our time blinds us to the reality that, in fact, the moment of truth is always now. That life is nothing but a succession of present moments culminating in death, and that you probably never get to a point where you feel you have things in perfect working order. Obviously, sometimes it makes sense to engage in certain activities with a future purpose in mind. Like for example, going to the gym so that you're still able to play with your grandchildren once you're grandpa or grandma, or saving money to buy something in the future that you've already desired a very long time. But then there are other activities like for example, painting, reading, networking, or engaging in a hobby that you might not be good at, but that you should do for the sake of it, because just having a specific outcome in the future in mind kind of takes the meaning away. In the book, he gives the thoughtful example of a parent taking care of a baby and treating it in a way so that it will be a highly functional, intelligent adult later on. But if you're doing this, you're missing the opportunity to just be with the baby in the present moment, letting the baby enjoy its time as an infant and not treating it as a training ground for adulthood. This is just one example, but we are doing this with many things. And if we treat everything we are doing, life itself in other words, as valuable only in so far as it lays the groundwork for something else in the future, we are missing out of the experience that is happening right now. This is a future-chasing mindset, and I've personally been a victim of this my whole life. Since our today's society is all about better, higher and faster, not treating your time off as investment in your future might feel as though you're failing life. But the truth is, spending your time doing something for the sake of it is the only way to give it true meaning. There are many lessons in this book, but I think the most important one is that it is okay to embrace our limitations. If you can identify with the points I was talking about, I highly recommend you this book. So if you're interested, I'm going to leave a link in the description of this video. And please let me know in the comments your thoughts about this, and if you know any books you would like to recommend to that topic that are similar to this one. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to see similar videos in the future. And in the meanwhile, take care of yourself and your time. Thanks for watching.